Alright YouTube, this is DestinyHeroic again. This is another instructional Vylon video. In this episode I wanted to talk about a couple things. First, dealing with problem cards that the deck has some difficulty dealing with. Second, I want to talk about another simple combo to get Vylon Omega out right away. And third, I want to talk about approaching the current metagame with this deck. So first, there are two big problem cards that this deck has a hard time dealing with. First, obviously, is Thunder King Ryo. And there's a few things you can do to deal with Ryo. Obviously, you're playing Dark Hole, so if you can get rid of Ryo by using Dark Hole, then that's easy enough. But if they summon this and you don't have the Dark Hole, and you have Cube and you want to be able to do your Vylon loop thing, then you have to get rid of this Thunder King first, because with all the searching that you need for that loop, Thunder King will not allow you to do any of it. So as a tech choice, I've opted to play Photon Thrasher. Photon Thrasher serves a couple purposes. First, you can special summon him, so it doesn't cost you your normal summon. He's level 4, he's light, and that fulfills a lot of the needs of a Vylon Synchro style deck. But the other thing he does is he's 2100 attack, and he special summons. He has a Cyber Dragon-like special summon effect. So basically this will force them to use Ryo's effect to negate the summon, and then if you have Trident Warrior or even another Photon Thrasher and the Cube, you can start your combo. And if they don't fall for it, then you go into the battle phase, you run over the Ryo, and then you just do your combo in main phase 2. So it's no big loss. So this is probably the best way of dealing with Thunder King Ryo. And that's if he comes out early. If he comes out late, you can just use something like Vylon Matter to blow it up and recycle your equip spells. The other problem card is Spirit Reaper. This deck does not target your opponent's monster cards or even their field cards. The only targeting effect that is in this deck, besides wasting your chaos on targeting Spirit Reaper, is Book of Moon, which does nothing to Spirit Reaper anyway. So this goes for Spirit Reaper and the rising popularity Gelen Duo. He's in defense mode. Let's say you have your Omega out with all his equips. At least this, and we'll say this. So I hope you can see all that. Basically, what you want to be able to do to deal with this, dealing with Spirit Reaper is one thing. Let's say this is a Gelen Duo, first of all. Gelen Duo isn't destroyed by battle. It's got 0 defense. It's immediately destroyed when your opponent takes damage. So they're sitting behind it, and they think they'll be able to ride out a couple turns. But what you can do is trade your Vylon Sphere for a Vylon component in your graveyard. This adds Pierce to Vylon Omega, and a couple turns of attacking for 3000 over a defense mode Spirit Reaper, or 3200 over a Gelen Duo and then destroying it, doesn't make them any particularly huge threat. And you still maintain a whole bunch of equips on Omega, so you can lock down their monster effects. So that's dealing with the two big problem cards. There are probably some more that I haven't thought of, but we'll worry about that later. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was a second combo to get Vylon Omega out. And the way you do this combo is, obviously, you would have, let's see, I've lost my stuff. Okay, so you need to have a Vylon Het. This is the only Vylon non-tuner that we're playing in the main deck. So what you would do is you have all your other components. Let's say you have your element, and you have KS, and you have at least one Vylon equip. So what you would do is you summon your Hept, you play your element, you equip KS to Hept, and then you just do your loop. Filament, grabs another filament, and element will activate, and you can bring out Vylon Cube. You play filament again, get another filament. You can probably see where this is going, Vylon Cube. So 4, 3, and 3 is 10. 2 tuners, 1 non-tuner Vylon. So you synchro into Omega. The only bad thing about this is that we didn't use Tetra or Sphere, so we can't automatically equip them from the graveyard. But you do get 2 Vylon Cube searches. So we'll search material and component. And we already have filament, so you just attach all 3 to Omega, and he's ready to go. So that's a pretty good combo. And you only need 4 cards. Well, you always need at least 4 cards to get this deck going. That's another thing. But okay, so that's that. That's getting Omega out easily. And until he's 3,800, he can't be mirror forced, and he's piercing. And if they MST any of these things, you just get another search off of Vylon Element. And this combo is even better if you were able to special summon a Photon Thrasher first. Because then what you can do, let's go back to our first state. Hept, equipped. So what we can do is equip, pop, and we can search for Vylon Cube and add Vylon Filament to our hand. And then we can start our combo here. We can synchro for our level 7, Sigma, and search for our equip. We'll say we get this. So now we've got 2 equips, KS, and Vylon Element. And that's what we need to get our combo going. So you just start playing these, and instead of more spheres, you bring out Tetra, or instead of more cubes, I keep getting those two confused. You bring out Tetra and Sphere, and you use these 3 for your Omega. You equip to Omega, and now you've actually got a better field than what you started with, than what I showed you in the other loops. The only problem is you have to open with KS if you want to do this. So what you can do is you can keep playing equips, getting out more cubes, more equips, more cubes, and actually, in this case, you are able to synchro summon another Vylon Omega. You don't necessarily want to do that though, but what you could do is exceed for a Leviathan Dragon, detach a cube to boost him, Vylon Omega's effect, equip the cube, Vylon Hept's effect, special summon the cube, and synchro here for Ancient Sacred Wyvern. So now you've got double negation and 3 huge beaters. And if you have this, then it's just gravy. And you've done a lot of searching, so you have filament, so you can attach it to Omega. So you're pretty much set there. You've got triple negation, you've got a guy who's just going to keep getting bigger, and you've got a guy who's already big. So that's one really cool combo you can use. It's pretty diverse what you can do with this deck. So let's reset our field yet again. Actually, you can probably leave that. And let's say we're sitting here with Vylon Omega. So we've got And let's say our decree's up. Let's see if I can get all this on camera. Okay, so here's our commanding field. In the face of the metagame, in a lockdown deck, you want to be able to control your opponent's actions, but the way you beat a lockdown deck, your opponent, if your opponent is a good player, they will make you waste your resources, and then they'll drop some kind of trump card to get rid of your Omega. And if you lose Omega, you're in trouble. So, in the face of something like Inzectors, obviously, you would be. Actually, let's say you swap this out for, I don't know, material. Yeah, okay. So in the face of something like Inzectors, you would obviously, if they summon a Dragonfly and they activate its effect, you don't even need to see the Hornet yet. You just negate it. And that destroys the Dragonfly, and they're stopped for a turn. And they can set some spells and traps, maybe, but you've got Decree, so their traps don't matter. And then when your turn begins, Omega's effect puts Sphere, attaches Sphere to them. And if they do something weird, like they go to Effect Veiler, and when you use that effect, you just negate the Effect Veiler and continue. And then Sphere equips Filament back on. He's down a card, but he's still got 2 negations, so it's no big deal. And then when I go to equip a Hornet again next turn, you just pop it again. In the face of windups, this deck doesn't really have a whole lot to worry about with windups, because the only thing that you would really need to worry about is if windups go first and they loop you, because it's very hard for this deck to get going with only 2 cards in hand, and it's impossible to get going with no cards in hand. So obviously we are running the Effect Veilers to stop the initial Tour Guide plays and stop the Zen Matey plays and the Wind-Up Rat plays. So basically whatever you can do to stop the initial loop, and then once you set this up, then they can't do anything, because you can actually even just let them go, because they can't put anything on the field bigger than Omega. The best they could do is a wind-up Zen mains, but Omega says no to Zen mains. And if they want to sit behind it, they can. But then you can just attach a Vylon component and pierce over it, and then in the end phase, you just pop the component and negate the destroy effect, and it's out of exceed materials. So probably the biggest problem this deck would have handling is Dino Rabbits, and it's important to save your negations for when Vylon Omega is being immediately threatened. Like, obviously you would want to stop their rabbit plays or their tour guide plays as soon as you see them. But if they manage to get an Evolzar up and they set a back row or something, they may have Forbidden Lance. And Forbidden Lance can be problematic, because if you have like Vylon material equipped to him and he's 28 and he's 38, and they hit it with Forbidden Lance, then he goes down to 32 and he's not being affected by his equips anymore. He can still send them to negate monster effects, but he's not being affected by them. So if they do something like Tour Guide and you don't negate the Tour Guide for whatever reason, then they go into Acid Golem, then you can probably bet that they have the Forbidden Lance. And what's okay about this deck is that it actually can take Forbidden Lance if Omega doesn't have any equips and you use his effect and attach a sphere, you can pitch the sphere and attach Chaos. Chaos effect is when he's targeted with a spell card, you negate and destroy the spell card. You don't negate the activation, but you negate the effect. So Chaos will make Omega immune to Forbidden Lance and Forbidden Chalice and all those cards that are popular right now. So that's pretty good, and you can always just send it to negate a monster effect. So Omega is extremely powerful, And if you can get him on the field in this format, then it's a really good boon. And the deck includes options for you to be able to deal with all of those problem cards that I was talking about. So we're at 15 minutes, so I'm going to stop the video now. Tell me what you think. And if you haven't watched my Project Vylon MK2 video with the Sigma OTK, check it out. I'd like to see some more likes and positive comments on that before I post the deck list for that. It is quite a bit different from the Lockdown deck. But go check out that video, check out my Omega Lock deck list, and thanks for watching, and check out my other videos, and rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. So, later.